Welcome to Eye on the Illini. This is Mike Cagley with Brad Sturdy. We did a semi warning to people who were watching the post-game show that we might get some time Monday night. And look at this, 9 o'clock in the evening, Brad, and both of us have finally sat down for 3 seconds.
It's just getting home, getting to work, right?
Yeah. The big thing we're going to talk some Big Ten hoops, but I got to ask you, what were your thoughts on James Franklin being let go by Penn State? Now, obviously, this isn't Big Ten hoops, but we thought we would at least talk a little bit because this is big news, and we've been Big Ten guys for decades.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this is not a huge buyout, 49 point whatever million. That's a crazy amount of money when you think about it. Now, I heard a rumor today from an agent guy who told me that the rumor going around is that possibly Franklin already had a landing spot set up.
Wow.
So before he was planning on bolting anyway. And so if that is true, then Penn State knows that the buyout won't be as much because he'll get a new contract there. So it may only be like 20. If he gets a new job,
Right.
may only be like 25 million or what have you, right? Instead of, let's say he gets 5-year, $25 million deal somewhere else or whatever it is, that'll be subtracted from what he's getting. So Penn State may get a better deal than he thought. So than people are talking about. So that would be interesting. I would definitely change the narrative a little bit.
Would you have pulled the trigger on this? Because I got to admit, I had conflicted feelings because, one, I'm not a big believer in ripping out the cord in the middle of the season. But on the other hand, a 3-game losing streak when 2 of the 3 games are to teams that were ranked 17th and 18th in an 18-team league, that's crazy if you're a CFP contender.
Yeah, of course you're going to break up the Bruins now because their last 2 games. So they're so good, and let's be honest, Northwestern beats Purdue, and they're in a really good spot to make a bowl game. So it's been a good turnaround. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here's my thought. I understand why they did it because they're past that 4-game window. So most of the guys have played their 4 games. They already used eligibility up for the season. So you can't get that. They can't redshirt now. So once they've played their 4 games,
yep,
that's one. So they're probably likely to go out. Those guys still have their 30-day window to go into the portal, but they've already used this year, so it's likely they probably finish the year, most of them. They also know that if you fire them, like you fire them right after the season, that's like what, a week or 2 weeks for that early signing period. So now you can start working on this recruiting class. You have a better grasp on what it's going to look like and what you're going to go down the road. So so what you're going to have to do in the portal, when that opens there in December. So I don't think and also you can get started on the hiring process and finding a guy and probably have something in mind for someone. And I don't know who they have in mind, but you usually don't fire a guy unless you have pretty good eye. Somebody's going to take it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it depends. Now, Illinois had, when they were under the guise of Mike Thomas.
But this is Penn State. This is not a minor football program. I mean, this is one of the. I mean, they are what we would call a blue blood, right? I mean, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan in the Big Ten, Oregon now, I think falls in that category too. There's certain programs that, the Alabamas, the Georgias, whatever. They're just programs that are different maybe than other ones. So I don't know. It's interesting how it's worked. So
I'm thinking a couple of targets we hear. Cignetti is one. And I got to be honest with you. And folks, this is a very, very tough thing to say. But when you figure the Eli Lilly dollars, you figure Mark Cuban money, and then I forget the name of the bank chain that they've got, they may be better funded than Penn State right now. I'm not saying it's going to be that way every day, but they may have more funding from an NIL and et cetera than many schools not named Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And what's it going to look like? What are we going to look like next year? Because everybody was like getting all these guys, buying these guys in the spring because there was the different rules. Next year's going to be, the rules are going to be different.
Yes.
Heading into next year.
Whether anybody follows them is a different discussion, but yes.
But here's the question. Are they going to enforce stuff? Like, is there going to be some sort of enforcement through the CSC? I really couldn't. I was at Big Ten Media Days. This came up, and I was talking about this. Like, if none of them have signed the agreement, does the CSC enforcement actually matter? Like, I mean, what is the? I don't even know. None of the conferences have signed the agreement. The only one to sign it was the SEC, which is just crazy ironic because I think the SEC, because hey, we've got McDonald's bags all over the place, so we can throw money to everybody. So I don't know. It's going to be very intriguing to see what it looks like going forward. I really think it was very Pollyanna-ish, to say that we're going to stop, we're going to quit, no more cheating in college sports. I mean, it's going to happen, right? I mean, it's just crazy to think that it's not going to happen. I don't know. I think that, but I think if you enforce things and you have a quick, but it's got to be quick too. It can't be like a delayed thing where we wait 2 years to, punish somebody who, when it happened to, you know what I mean? It can't be 2 years down the road
and
and
get a bunch of kids who weren't there. Yeah.
yeah, gosh, I'm glad I'm being punished for what I do. I did nothing, but hey, I'm punished. I don't know. So that's something we're gonna have to see going forward, but
Well, see,
hopefully they can figure that out.
now maybe somebody will be able to cut this and put it on awful announcing as worst prediction of the year. I don't see Signetti going for Penn State. I don't know Signetti, so Signetti could watch this and go, "Who the hell is this guy?" But it seems to me
I
he's got
don't.
a lot
I
better
don't think
set up.
Signetti's going to Penn State. I mean, I
I
know
don't
there's
either.
going to be a lot of people saying that he is, but one, I don't think he's from that part of Pennsylvania, right? I mean, I think it's closer to the Pittsburgh type area, so
Yeah.
that's different, right? And the other thing is he's got a great gig in Indiana.
What about
They're going to build
if
him a statue, aren't they? Are they going to build? I mean, like
they
it's statue
should
time.
they
I mean,
should build him a statue? I mean, come on, man. I can't argue with that.
no.
What about if they were able to go after Matt Rule and take him from Nebraska? Would that, would that end any Nebraska dream of being a blue blood?
Yeah, it would. But okay, think about Rule though. How is Matt Rule different than James Franklin? Can't beat top 25 teams. Franklin lost to Ohio State and Michigan, lost top 10 teams. I mean, how do you, other than being a Penn State alum, right? What's the difference? Well, he loses big games.
To me, there's one big one, Brad. When he was not beating those top 10 teams, nobody expects you to beat them very often at Temple. And
fair.
Baylor, some years, I guess, but mainly under what's his face, who got in trouble and no longer coaches. And then Nebraska.
He was good though, wasn't he?
Oh no, he was great. There's no doubt about that. He just
Except
had
for
this
that,
thing. He basically makes Bruce Pearl look like a Rule follower. But but then you've got and then of course Nebraska hasn't been much of beating top 10 teams since Tom Osborne retired. So you could say that he's been at schools that don't have the advantages of Penn State, but other than that depends on. I guess that depends on your.
But even at Nebraska, so Rule overall, have you looked at his numbers? He's 2-23 against top 25, 0-11 against top 10. At Nebraska, he's 0-7 against top 25 and 0-2 against top 10. So he's never beaten a top 25 team at Nebraska, and he's never beaten a top 10 team ever. That's basically, I mean, Franklin was better than that, right?
So what do? You grab the guy down at Tulane?
Well, I think here's the thing. Here's what colleges do. You find they all find we kind of go through this, like Curt Signetti was the guy at Indiana, and people didn't really, it took him forever to get hired. Then they hire him, and guess what? He's really friggin' good, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Now everybody's going to be like, I'm going to find the guy who just wins at lower levels. Google me. I win, right? I mean, they got to find that guy. Certain guys win. So, and there's a guy on our board, right? D-Train always says this, and he's right to a certain extent. Like, good coaches win, bad coaches lose. It just comes down to that. And if a guy's winning all the time, they're probably good. Now, there are certain guys who, do I think Ryan Day is like the greatest X and O guy of all time? No, but he has just immense amounts of talent on his teams, and so evidently, that's good, and that's
where can beat anybody but Michigan.
Yeah, exactly, no question. That's been what's happened, right? I mean, they've beaten everybody but Michigan. So
yeah,
And I think there are certain guys that are really. I think Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. I mean, I think
Mhm.
he's a fantastic coach.
Crazy, but good coach.
Yeah, and he also he videotapes the other side. Helps whatever you got to do.
Oops.
But no, I think there's certain guys that are really good. So who do you find? You find a guy like that, and I look at a guy like Kansas fans are even kind of down on Lance Leipold now, and I'm like, dude, do you realize what Kansas football was for a while? I mean, it was so bad, but he won. He won just a ton of games, and so I don't know. I just feel like and we tend to follow this, like, okay, well, this guy, this is the way we do this, and so we're going to
Yeah.
hire this. Think about this in college basketball. How many guys, I kind of look at this, and what about power four college basketball coaches who have JUCO experience? Are there those guys seem to be pretty good, right?
Well, Underwood's done well.
Yep.
There,
So,
I'll tell you one thing.
what
Right now,
what
there's
about how about Chris Beard? How about Grant McCausland? Brad
yeah,
Underwood, Steve Forbes. So he was I don't know. I guess Forbes is tied to JUCOs, and
ran for president.
yeah, that too. But yeah, so Brad Underwood. So man, you start looking at some of these guys; they've been pretty successful. Well, why do you think that is in this era, where JUCO coaches are going to have the right? Because you're rebuilding your roster every year, just like you
Yeah.
do at a JUCO. I mean, there's not like 4 years of continuity.
Yep.
That's why it's sometimes amazing, in my opinion, what a guy like Matt Painter does. Like,
Oh,
he literally
exactly.
does it almost like the old way. I mean,
And
he's still
he doesn't rebuild his roster every year. He just
no,
kind of
he doesn't. Now,
yeah,
I think this will be the year when he's going to have to rebuild his roster,
right.
because I think he's talking to people around Purdue. It doesn't matter if they put the 5-5 in. I think Fletcher Lawyer could stay, but I don't think that Braden Smith or Trey Coffin-Wren are coming back for a 5th year. I think they're out. They're going to graduate, and they're going to play in the three-letter league up there. So this is but this might be it where he does a little bit of rebuild, but he always has guys. You know what I mean? He just finds guys. Like, he'll have some 7'4" behemoth who will come in, and then he'll have a little guard who's like a 3-star or low 4-star, and all of a sudden he's first team All Big Ten or All Freshman, Big Ten Freshman of the Year or something. I mean, he's just good, and there are certain guys like that. I don't know, and even with Painter though, he's had some down years. He's had
Yeah.
some down years.
Remember when he was supposedly going to be out of Purdue, and you think about what
Oh man,
if Purdue had really pushed him out. I'm not saying they were going to, but if they had pushed him out, you would have lost the greatest years as he started to really kind of start peaking.
yeah, and I think some of that is remember he was going to go to Missouri, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, goodness gracious, be different. I mean, but in 2020, I mean, produced 16 and 15.
Right.
This stuff happens. Even but at this, and I know he lost as a 1 seed, but he also got second the next year in the NCAA tournament. But Painter has had a really good run there, but when he's he had some really good. He had the Hummel years, and then he had some down years. He was 500 over under 500 for 2 years in a row back in 13 and 14. But coming off of some good runs, so yeah, he's really good. But also the way the rules are now, and with the portal, it's going to be how you pay people and all this stuff, and you got to reshape your roster every year, I think. So that's why the JUCO experience works. But my point is, we tend to follow now. We see this people having success. Well, we want a guy now in college basketball who maybe have that success, who can turn over a roster quickly. Football, Kurt Signetti. We got a great in-game coach, a guy who's really good at prep, and he's just known as he's a great football coach. Well, all of a sudden we want that guy, right?
Yeah.
We were talking before the show, right? Or maybe it was on the show, right? Art Briles, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Briles, there we are.
Art Briles, fantastic football coach. I mean, like, great football coach. Obviously has a little bit unscrupulous. I'm just going to throw that out there. So people are now looking for, well, that's okay. Bruce Pearl is a great coach, right?
Yeah.
And he's come up through the ranks and all these things. He's gone now, but I mean, not coaching, but my thing is that he was such a good coach that they took him despite all the baggage. No one cared about all the baggage because he wins, and that's what it comes down to. If James Franklin, if they all hated him and he had won the last 3 weeks, he probably got an extension.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even if they didn't like him, He'd get an extension after winning the last 3 weeks. They'd be 6-0. They'd probably be ranked number 2 in the country behind Ohio State. And all those games were games they could have won.
Yeah. So we're going to transition now away from what's going on at Penn State, which I'm sorry is just fascinating to watch because you do have, I don't know that they may be a blue blood, but I would put them a half notch behind the Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia.
Fair.
But you're talking one of the top 10 programs in the country. And so it's going to be very, very intriguing to watch that play out and see who they get. And one of the biggest things that I'll tell people before we transition is you don't win a coaching firing until you can evaluate the coaching hiring that follows it. And
Yeah.
if people have ever been an Illinois fan, oh, Ron Zook, we got to get him out of here. Tim Beckman?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Bruce Weber, to heck with Bruce Weber, John Gross.
Yeah.
So just
It's not
save the
about the firing. Too many
yes.
fans get caught up in how great the firing is. It's the hiring that
Yes.
matters.
So if you got the confetti canyons going in Happy Valley, just wait till they see who gets that job, and then you fire the cannon. But that's just coming from an Illini fan, and we've got plenty of scars to prove why we say what we say. So, Brad, let's talk a little bit about this Big Ten. This Big Ten. This is a better conference than it was last year.
It is. It's very good. I think when you kind of look, I'm looking at the Ken Palm rankings, first of all. Every team, all 18 teams, are preseason top 100. And there are 13 teams that are top 50. Think about it, 13 in the top 50. And then you've got 10 that are in the top 40. 10 in the top 40. And then you have 8 in the top 30 on Ken Palm and 7 in the top 25. That's pretty amazing, not to mention 3 in the top 10, 4 of the top 11 on Ken Palm. Now, we look at the AP poll, which means absolutely positively nothing, just opinions. Good barometer. Purdue is 1. Then you roll down to Michigan at 7. You've got UCLA at 12, Illinois at 17. So some Michigan State 22, Wisconsin 24. Then you have Oregon at 27 in that. Ohio State is right at 30. So a lot. Southern Cal 30, 33. So yeah, pretty good group. Iowa even got votes. Didn't Iowa get destroyed the other day though in their scrimmage? I thought I saw that secret
Yeah.
scrimmage.
Well,
Not that it matters, but I thought they lost big. Was it SLU?
yeah. Iowa has just been so famous for being unbelievably talented on the offensive end. And then you don't know exactly what's going to happen on the defensive end. That'll change hopefully this year, but for Iowa fans.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, are they Drake heavy or
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
that's the thing. What how do you judge this team early on?
How many Big Ten games are they going to win, Mike?
Yeah.
6,
No,
7? I don't know. No, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's a dog eat dog conference, and sometimes Iowa has milk bone underwear on. As you look at this, I look at the Michigan team as one that I think is very intriguing because they've had talent on the team, but Juwan Howard has figured out a way to make the team every year less than the sum of its parts, and I just think Dusty May is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I do. I think this team is good. I think it's interesting when you look at how about their schedule though? And I'm not, it's not an Indiana football non-conference schedule, but it is they've got, Wake Forest semi-home. They're top 50, I guess, but they don't play anybody in the top 30 top 29 on Ken Palm in the non-conference. Not one.
Figuring that they'll get in based on the merits of the Big Ten Conference.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I mean, Auburn's a good game to play, but Auburn's 31st now. San Diego State, good team, but again, these are neutral site games there. But I kind of look at this and say, all right, well, where's the top Villanova? Probably when you start that game, it looks really good. I mean, it's like Tuesday. in December. If it's Jay Wright there, it's different. But this is not now we compare that to the Illinois schedule. And you're like, wait, this is night and day. Or even Purdue. Look at who Purdue's playing. They've got Alabama. They've got Iowa State. They also have Auburn. But I mean, those are better. But Illinois' schedule is just
Izzo like.
And it might be. Illinois has Texas Tech, Alabama, Connecticut, Tennessee, Missouri before the year turns. Not to mention their conference game against Ohio State at Ohio State. So, man, this is a tough schedule compared to most of these teams that play here. The team that is interesting. Now, I think UCLA is interesting. They do play Arizona. That's a good one. They play Cal. I'm not sure that's a good one. Arizona State, etc. But I mean, really kind of not a overly difficult schedule. Michigan State, as is typical with Tom Izzo, they're going to play Kentucky. They're going to play Duke. So they're going to get some. They play North Carolina. Arkansas. So that's what they do. I mean, it's very similar to Illinois. Not sure it's quite as tough as Illinois, but it's still Izzo likes to play those. So it's just different perspective. But I think that's the one thing about Michigan. I'm not sure we're going to know about them until we get in conference play. Because
they could either be really good or they could.
Yeah, I mean, and they might beat the pants off some of these teams, and we still won't know.
Now we do have a question. We do have a celebrity question line here.
Okay.
Apparently, after that disappointing Falcon loss, Buffalo Bill, we've got a question from Josh Allen. So he must be watching us.
He should.
Locker room.
Evidently, he was when he was in the first half tonight.
Exactly.
So he was watching.
Yes,
we weren't on yet, but he was watching in the first half.
So this is our celebrity question of the evening, Brad. Are Petrovic and Merkovich as good as advertised?
Well, interestingly enough, so just talking to guys the other day, Petrovic is extremely quick. I had a European scout, not for Illinois, but actually really works with a different program. He said he's the guy who he thinks is going to be all Big Ten by the end of the year. And that's what he said. I think could be the best player. Now, I think that's hyperbole, but this wasn't an Illinois side.
Right.
I think the big thing with him is figuring out how he can, what he can do offensively. And, he's really good at making tough shots, but it's better to maybe make easy shots. You know what I mean? I think that's the hard part, is making that transition to, and a shot clock guy, though, he can make plays, and that's good. He's a tremendous passer. So he's going to be good. Very quick, gets in the paint repeatedly. Merkovich is actually really good. Like, he's just got a great feel. He's physical. He's a guy who can play the 4. He can play the 5. They can go small with him at the 5, depending on what they want to do. He's just really good at basketball. It's very intriguing how they're going to use him, because let's say you put him next to Big Z or Tommy. He's going to be more of the physical presence than even your 7'2" guys. And that was what they talked about, how tough he is, how physical he is. And this team Boswell is really physical, but I'm not sure how physical this team is overall. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying there aren't some good defenders and there's tough guys, but it's different, if that makes sense. I mean, so they're just not. Stojakovic is a skilled guy. He's really good. And actually, defensively, he's long. He gets his hands at passing lanes, deflect shots. Big Z is a tremendous shot blocker. It's really hard to shoot over him. And so you get guys like that. They're really good. But are they physical? Are they that guy who just wants to make – Merkovich is. He loves contact. So.
Hey, look at this. Josh Allen. We find out now that he's a huge – besides being a great quarterback, he's a Illini fan. So INI to Josh Allen.
Yeah. It's funny. It's interesting. We coast to coast, man.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Coast to coast and score more points. So looking at this, how do you think we got a lot of guys who are used to handling the ball? What does that allow this Illini team to do that might be a little interesting from your standpoint? I mean, Stojakovic has got the ability to be a lead guard. Obviously, you've got that with Petrovic, Boswell, of course. And to be honest, we're hearing, I don't know if he's going to play this year, but somebody said they saw Ty Rodgers without the knee brace on. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't, but Ty can handle the ball. I mean, you're talking 4 guys who can be lead guards. That's pretty unique.
Lee and Wagler too, the freshmen who are both lead guards. That's kind of what they do. I think there's a lot more ball handling. They've compared the other day I kind of I was talking to Ben Humrickhouse and Kylan Boswell, and they agreed that they feel like that Wagler reminds them a lot of Will Riley, but he's more of a facilitator for others than he is just to get a bucket for himself. He can get buckets for himself, but he would rather, he's going to be a penetrate kick kind of guy instead of just hitting tough shots. So this is very interesting. I don't know. I think it's very intriguing when they compared him that way, because Will Riley's awful good, but he had some ups and downs. He had some stretches where he wasn't, perfect, or he had some games where he was just amazing. Now the good thing for them is, on a day when Will Riley was bad for Illinois last year or struggled, they didn't have other options. Now they don't need Wagler to be the guy.
Right.
They've got Stojakovic, they've got Petrovic, so forth. So yeah, I think got a lot of guys who can play make. I think we saw Tommy's such a tremendous passer too. When they pull him out top, run the pick and pop type situations, get him ball up at the high post, it spreads the floor. You got all the actions behind, and he can find open guys. So yeah, they have a lot of guys who can make plays, and that's the fun part, I think. And Brad Underwood talked about that at Big Ten Media Days, how he's not, there are some defensive concerns, like at the way things are working and so forth, but offensively, they're going to be really good. These guys can all shoot, they can all score, they've got guys who can do things. So they're going to be good on offense. Now, are they going to be good enough on defense to get where they want to go? I don't know yet, and I don't think anybody knows. And I think that's their big question mark. And I was talking to I talked to women's basketball assistant coach Calamity McIntyre, and said they're both kind of this weekend, they're both kind of going through the same thing. The men and women, like, there are days when they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Yeah, we look terrible. They're young, they're new, everybody's trying to figure it out. Then there are other days when it's like, gosh, we're really good. We look really good today. And I think that's true. And the one thing about the men, though, Brett Underwood hasn't had a full team yet. They've never had a full team. So he's like, we asked him, how good are you guys? How good can you be? He said the goal is always to win a national championship. That's our goal going into the season. That's what we want to do. Can we do that? I have no idea. Really, he has no idea, because I've never seen us all together at the same time. Do I like our team? I love our team. But we don't know yet until we get them all together.
That seems like a subplot of the Illini. You can't be an Illini basketball team if you've actually had the entire team together as one unit since June. It's illegal or something.
Yeah, it's against the rules. Something.
We should stop that rule.
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
Speaking of things that we should stop, Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Well, what do data brokers do? Your name, your contact info, social security number, home address, even information about your family members could all be compiled by data brokers and sold online. As someone with an active online presence, privacy is really important to me, and I want to make sure that I don't become the victim of identity theft, harassment, or doxing. And even if you haven't experienced it, we all know somebody who has. Take control of your data and your private life by signing up for Delete Me. And now at a special discount for our listeners, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/hit and use promotional code HIT at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/HIT and enter the code HIT at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/HIT, code HIT. So please go over there, and the Illini guys sent you, and hopefully we can help you avoid some of these issues online. Brad, where do you want to go next on this?
Every time you say /HIT, it throws me for a loop.
Yeah, it is. If in doubt, type HIT.
There you go. No, so let's kind of. Sorry.
And folks, there we are with a live sneeze break from Brad. That was brought to you by Coke Zero.
Kleenex.
Coke Zero.
Diet Pepsi. No,
Yeah,
so
we will have that battle if there's ever a battle of sponsors.
yeah, we will.
My Coke Zero versus your Diet Pepsi,
Yeah, no question.
as our
No,
doctors tell us
so
no.
kind of looking at this, is interesting things about Big Ten Media Day. I really, I think Purdue's the consensus favorite. Everybody believes in them, but I kind of look at it like, so the things that always are weird. You think of basketball as being like, I don't know, a guy. It's amazing, like a tall person's thing, right? It's amazing how short some of the Big Ten coaches are. I mean, like, you've got just kind of going down the line here. Mick Cronin, right? Dusty May, Greg Gard is normal, just average, but they're too small. The
Izzo.
Musselman, Izzo are not very tall. Jake Diebler's not very tall. I mean, so I don't know. It's just I think it's interesting to kind of look at some of these guys. It's just different. I don't know. I found it really odd that everybody's. Who sounds really good, really impressed me the other day. I don't know if you can win there in the current system, the way it works. Nico Medved was really good in press conferences. He reminded me of is like listening to Jay Wright.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was the thing. Like kind of listening to Jay Wright, which I enjoy listening to Jay Wright, right? So that was interesting. I thought that was good. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I kind of wonder like how long these guys. You have so many programs that are just getting started. With Buzz Williams at Maryland. I think that's going to be an interesting thing because here's the thing: Buzz has won everywhere he's gone. I mean, no matter where he's gone, Buzz has won.
But he's gone a
But
lot of places.
he's never there. Texas A&M for 6 seasons, Virginia Tech 5, Marquette 6. It's just he's just going to stay until he's got to beat the posse, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, until people are kind of mad at you, you're not successful. So
Yeah.
so he's just going through that. Okay, we turn it around, we do well. Okay, now I move on. Go to Texas A&M. Oh, I got Texas A&M and had some success. Top 4 seed. All right, I think I'll go to Maryland now. Because, it's really the way these coaches it's probably the safest way to do things, right? I mean, so I don't know. It's been an interesting. I thought that was interesting. Izzo's been there forever, Painter. But when you kind of look at these guys, I mean, Dana Albin's been at Oregon, but they haven't been in the Big Ten that long. But I don't know. I kind of look at how long guys have been there, and the old guard is like Chris Collins and Tom Izzo and Matt Painter and Brad Underwood, right? I mean,
Yeah, he's getting there, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he's one of the old guys now. So, I mean, not in tenure,
right?
So that's always intriguing. I mean, Greg Gard's obviously been at Wisconsin a long time, but as the head coach, he came in at right after the Bo Ryan year, so he's been there a while, and he's been fairly successful. He's had some good runs early on, more than maybe of late. Those early Sweet 16s, first couple of years, and then since then it's been a little bit more of a struggle. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to look at this, and you look, as well as I do, whether I liked a lot of the hires that they have, but as well as I do that somebody's going to get fired. I mean, even a guy that we thought was a good hire. I mean,
every game somebody's got to lose.
Yeah, and so is Mike Rhodes. How long he's going to be at Penn State? Is Steve Peichel? I mean, is his luck run out at Rutgers? I mean, do they want more? How long is Medved going to last? When does Fred Hoiberg's kind of bubble burst there at Nebraska? Because let's be honest, I mean, they've made one NCAA tournament in the past. He's been there 7. This will be his 7th season. They've made one NCAA tournament. That's not probably, I don't know. That's not great. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I just think it's, it's going to happen. How long does Jake Diebler? How long is they going to give him? Until he's 17 and 15.
As long as Ohio State keeps in the CFP in
football, they don't care what happens in basketball.
That I have a buddy of mine who's a big time booster at Ohio State, and he says Ohio State basketball is there to take you from the national championship game of football until spring ball.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
The point of it,
Danny Sprinkle went 13 and 18 at Washington. Is there I don't know. He probably has to do better than Mike Hopkins if he wants to keep that job, right? I mean, did so. He's got to improve. How long is it, we think a lot of times you think it's Darian DeVries is going to be a great hire. We don't know that yet. We don't know Ben McCollum's going to be great at Iowa. We don't know anything yet. I mean, about those guys. So I always find that intriguing. You're hearing these guys and everybody's got hope. How does that last? How does that work out? And, eventually you got to win some games to be successful. And I'm not sure, even guys who I think are almost like guys who will be successful, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll play out that way.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had a customer that I was dealing with, and he actually told me he played under Izzo when Izzo was an assistant at Northern Michigan. And he goes, I learned more from Izzo as an assistant coach than any other coach that I'd ever played for. And he said, I told my dad in 1980 that this guy was going to be an NCAA champion. And sure enough, he ends up having it. But that's quite a thing when somebody can play basketball in the late 70s and tell you what a big part of his life.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's just Tom Izzo, would be like
Izzo's long for old. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah, exactly. So with the Illini, what are the storylines that you think are going to keep you tuned in this year? Obviously, we're Illini guys, so we're tuned in all year. But what are you looking forward to right now? Questions that you think need to be answered, or things that intrigue you?
Well, I think for me it's health. Like, I mean, who's healthy? Can Petrovic get cleared? Can Stojakovic be healthy? I think once Petrovic is cleared, and he has a little tweaked ankle, it sounds like, but I don't think it's anything to worry about too much. We need to get Stojakovic healthy. When does Ty Rodgers able to play? Is it January? Is it February? When is it? When is he going to be able to go? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows yet. It's how he kind of heals. But that's the biggest thing, health. Another thing I'm worried about is how do they mesh all these guys to play together? Because you got so many guys, whether it's Boswell's pretty versatile. He can play on the ball, off the ball. But Petrovic used to have the ball in his hands. But he's got other guys who are going to have the ball. Stojakovic used to have the ball in his hands a lot, making plays. And at late shot clock, that's going to happen still. Wagler's a guy who can play both ways, but he's had the ball in his hands. Brandon Lee's had the ball in his hands. A lot of these guys have the ball. And so how are they going to do that? What are you going to do with Big Z and Tommy? You're going to split them up? You're going to play them together? How's that going to work? Everybody's raving. We had Ben Humrickhouse at Big Ten Media Days because Ivasic had the tonsils removed. So the question becomes like, where does Ben? Is it going to be Humrickhouse and Merkovich at the 4 at most of the time, and then you have the Big Z and Tommy at the 5? Jason Jaxtis, is he their third string 5? Do they move Burke? I mean, I think how the front court works is going to be very intriguing because those guys are so similar. The Ivasics. I mean, they're both big. I know they're different, but they're not exactly the same. But they're stretch bigs, right? They're not guys who are going to bang and post up consistently. Tommy maybe more than Z, but yeah, they're not. That's not their game. So how do you mesh them? Are you gonna use them in the post? What are you gonna do? And then I guess the other thing is, how does this team defend? How are they going to handle athleticism? Because I know people don't think they're athletic, but I think they're wrong because we define athleticism. Or are they high flyers in some cases? Maybe some of them are, some of them aren't, but they're very quick at the guard position. I think Boswell is extremely quick laterally, especially. Petrovic is extremely quick, gets downhill. So they become a little bit more, I think that's one thing. And then the other thing is they're extremely long. I mean, they're so long that maybe that helps them on defense. But I think defense is the question mark. I figure they're going to score, but when they have a day when things aren't going their way, can they lock down on defense and be good enough defensively to grind out a win? I think that's the other thing. And what impact will Cam Crocker have on that end? So
let me ask you this question, because I was always a great help team defender. Can you have a bunch of guys who are just really good at helping their teammates? You may not have that individual stopper, but if these guys are aware of where they're at on the court and aware of, okay, I'm one pass removed, etc., can you have a bunch of guys who are good help defenders and let Boswell chew up the guard that needs to be chewed up?
And that's going to happen. Boswell's going to get the best perimeter scorer. I will tell you this: if you go back and watch some film on Stojakovic, I think it was against Notre Dame. He shut down Marcus Burton in the second half. So I think that's the kid from Notre Dame, right? So anyway, regardless, you go watch that Notre Dame Cal game. But he is a really good. He can be an individual defender. They're good. Big Z, we know, is a really good shot blocker. But yeah, I think they can, Mike. I think that they can do that. Jake Davis is never going to be known as some lockdown defender, right? But I'll tell you what, that guy may be able to. He can get some charges. He can be a help defender. He can be in the way, be in the gaps, be in the right location, and be better defensively than he would. I talked to Humrick House too about this. He's much more comfortable this year. He in his own skin, everything, just being in a new thing. And he talked about it, like, you don't want to say this, and he kind of told me this. He said, you don't want to say, hey, it's a big step up, right? The adjustment's too big for me to handle. But he admitted the other day, he talked about how it was hard. I mean, the guys are bigger, they're stronger. Things that were open are not there anymore. And that's what happened with Jonas with all the turnovers, right? And then he went to Summer League, and guess what? In the NBA, guess what? They were even bigger and stronger and faster. So then you had to make more adjustments. So every level there's a different adjustment, and I think that's where Ben is now. I expect him to have a really good year. I don't know. I can't tell you he's going to score this many points or that many points, but I think he's going to be more efficient. I think he's going to be really good because I think he's comfortable in his own skin. So yeah, I think you can be a good team, defensive team, but at the end of the day, it's if Kylan Boswell was 6'6" with his ability to defend, he'd play in the NBA, because if he was a 6'6" guy instead of a 6'1" or 2 guy, because that's just the reality. It's the way things work. But can he be your defensive stopper in college basketball? Yeah, he can, and he'll do a great job cutting that head off the snake, as they always say.
So, is any other final thoughts as we kind of run to a wrap here on this Illinois season? We're going to be doing a lot of these.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Big Ten Media Day was interesting. I kind of wrapped this up with my thoughts out there. I think it's everybody's got their ideas. I think we kind of look at this. I have no idea what this conference is going to look like in 5 years, or what college sports are going to look like in 5 years. So that was kind of, everybody's thinking long term. Are we going to have private equity involved? Is the SCORE Act or the SAFE Act? Which one's going to be the Congress thing? I mean, there's a lot of stuff it's really bigger than what's the 5-5 situation. When's it going to go in? If it passes, which most people expect it to, when will it go into effect? It's going to start January 1, like they're talking about. When they vote in October, they're going to say, hey, we're going to start January 1, or they're going to say, we're going to start it with next year. Well, that changes a lot of things. So for me, this is all the off the court stuff is almost taking more precedent right now than the on the court stuff, or on the field stuff in football. Everything is the NIL. It's this, it's that, it's a rev share. It's all these different things.
It's like the NBA, where the free agency is more interesting than the season itself.
Well, baseball went away from that a little bit. Remember, It used to be November was it. It was the hot stove league.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. You just like, oh, who are we getting? And then, well, it's kind of waited now. Guys aren't signing until like February. It's like, well, but the NBA, it's the July 1, right? And everybody's, so they're in that mode where it's like boom, 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 boom. Or actually June 26th or 7th, right after the draft. They start announcing them before they can actually do it.
Before they can legally talk about it on July 1st.
We haven't talked, but we've already decided this is what we're going to do. Yeah. So but I think it's very interesting. And college football and basketball have become almost as much. You talk about even on Illini guys, our subscriptions, when are they the highest? During what? Portal Combat. Portal Combat is the time, because people want to know who's going to be on their team. And it used to be the biggest things were when I would go to all the high school recruiting events, right? I mean, that was it. Like, who are we going to get? Who you talk to at this event? All these different things. Well, we still go, but it's not the same as it was, right? I mean, it's not the same. There's not the same interest, because honestly, these guys may come in for 1 year and they may be gone after their freshman year. And everybody loves Will Riley and KJ, but now they're just they were there 1 year. So it's not quite the same.
We're not quite Kentucky, but that's what Kentucky and Duke,
Yeah, and
they're basically cheering for laundry.
Yeah, exactly. It's a true story. So
one final thought here, not basketball related, but I'm interested. Do you think Brett Bielema and the Illinois football recruiting, of course, they've got this bye week. You think they're looking at Penn State commits and who knows, maybe Wisconsin and
Auburn.
teams that are Auburn teams that are struggling, saying, "Is there a guy or two that we could pry away based on a good relationship and talent that they've displayed, et cetera?"
Yeah, I mean, I think you do that. I mean, you're looking, like we all know right now that Luke Fickell's on the hot seat. Now, does Wisconsin have enough money to buy him out? I don't know. We know Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat, right? We know these things are happening. James Franklin, so you got all the Penn State commits already decommitting. You know, I think it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see who they go see, maybe, or who they target, and they're gonna do that. I mean, that's what you should do, right? I mean, these guys come open, they're vulnerable. You don't think Illinois? It was when Brett Bielema came in. They were all the commits that were there. Whether maybe they weren't the high level, but still, other schools. The difference is the schools poaching and were like NIU and Illinois State and Akron and Toledo. Southern, I don't know. It's just they were trying to get, but yeah, but no, I think that's part of it. And you got to look around and you see which programs are in trouble, and it's the bloods in the water. The sharks are going to be looking for that chum. So that's part of the game, and that's the hard part about these coaching transitions. I mean, it makes it
And
tough.
and it's so crazy because a month ago you would have thought James Franklin is safe and Kalen DeBoer might be out at Alabama at the end
Yeah.
of the year, and look what happens. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's
that was the
crazy.
thing. I don't think anybody was totally out on James Franklin until they, after the Oregon loss. I don't think it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, Oregon's good.
It
They're
was
going to be really
overtime. It
good.
was
Okay,
overtime. Yeah.
overtime, tough game, right? But I think the way they didn't perform against UCLA, I think that had they come back and really dominated Northwestern and won that game, I don't think people would have been. They're like, okay, well, we still got a shot here. Because the reality is, if you're at Penn State, the goal is make the college football playoff. Well, they're not making the college football playoff now, right? And they have no chance. And now they're Aller's out, right? So you're looking at, I don't know, it's this team 6-6 at the end of the year, 7-5.
Yeah,
I don't
crazy,
know.
crazy when you look at the team that was selected by many
Number one,
prognosticators to be
preseason
number
number
one. Yeah,
one.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, between them and Texas. Now Texas seems to have turned it around a little bit, although I
Yeah.
didn't understand why you would put a one-handed quarterback for Oklahoma out to play. I mean, I thought they put Mateer in a horrible position.
Oh, that's kind of rough. I did not. I think that was wild. But that may tell you more about the backup than the starter.
Right, I totally with you. Or the mindset of the head coach, I guess too. I guess you
Yeah,
could put a combination
could
of all
be.
that.
Hmm.
Any final thoughts then, Brad, before we cut everybody free here?
Yeah, I think I'll talk football real quick. Football's in the exactly spot where they probably should be. They've lost the number one and they've lost the number three, right? So those aren't bad losses, but they don't play anybody like that the rest of the year. At Washington is the game though for this football team. I think that is the game that they're going to make a bowl game. They're going to win. I think 8, 9 or 10 games. I really think that's a safe assumption. But winning at Washington opens the door for 9 to 10 wins for this season. And if you win at Washington, you're still in play to make this college football playoff. You
The
really are.
way SEC teams are knocking each other off.
If you're 10-2 and you're only 2 losses, because you look at this future schedule, it's conceivable Indiana and Ohio State both run the table.
Yes.
They don't play each other. Well, until they get to the Big Ten title game, right? But if they're both 12-0 and those are your only losses, and you're 10-2,
And you beat USC
and
and
USC, who looks
Washington.
USC put a hurting on Michigan, right? I mean, so now here's the thing: what would help Illinois too is if USC would beat Notre Dame. That would really make Illinois' win look even better, and I think that is conceivable. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it's conceivable. So, but this team's in a good spot. They're still in a good spot. Now you got a bye week to get ready for that game too. While Washington has to travel cross country to Michigan and then come back home, right? So,
And Bielema is good on a bye week.
oh, no question. And so I like where this football team's at. I know. And I really thought that the Ohio State game, it was clear Ohio State had more talent than Illinois. Matt wrote about that. But I also thought that was a day when Ohio State was there for the taking a little bit. I think had Illinois not turned the ball over, And I don't think they could simulate some of the way they played defense with their
Not
hands
unless
up
you make
too.
Witherspoon come back.
Yeah, if Devin Witherspoon had come back, then that would have been similar. But yeah, no, but I do believe that that was a game where that was the only disappointing thing for me was that I feel like the Ohio State wasn't like awesome. They weren't great. Luke Altmaier for the most part was pretty clean for most of the day. I mean, there were options for them to win that game or to have a chance to win that game. And then if you're close in the fourth quarter, man, it puts all the pressure on them. And that was the one
And
disappointment
Altmaier
I had.
responds extremely well to close games. Let's face it.
Yeah, at the end
You
of the
know,
game. Yeah, I mean, he's been really good. So, yeah, so let's I just don't want anybody to be disappointed. I think they're right where they should be. They've lost two teams that are better than them. They beat everybody else. Now you got to find a way to win this next group of games. And man, if we're, what did we pick before the season, Mike? What did we say? How many
I
wins did
had
you say?
I had them 9-3 with a beautiful upset victory over Ohio State.
Yeah, I
So if
think
they end up at I can live with
did I
10-2
say
though.
8-4? Did I say? I think I
I
said
think
eight
you
and
said
four.
8-4.
Yeah, and that's not. I think that's conceivable. I think for me that was just I thought that there were some tougher games, but
But the
man,
fact of the matter is that we're talking of Illinois winning between 8 and 10 games.
oh
Say what you want. Before Brett Bielema showed up, that would people would have we would have probably been pulled aside at our jobs and drug tested.
yes, exactly. No, there's no question. And this would be. I would really love to see them win 10, get 10 wins, whether it's 9-3 with a bowl game win or 10-2 and making the playoff and losing the first round. Because I don't mean this. This is not to diminish anything that Brett Bielema has done or the Illinois football team. They're not as good as Ohio State or Indiana
No,
or
not right now.
not right now. They're not to that level yet, or Miami, or even the Alabama, whatever. I mean, they're not at that level, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean it would be fantastic. I don't care if you lose 52-21 in the college football playoff. If you're in the college football playoff, that's pretty darn cool. You know what I
No,
mean?
I agree totally. The only thing Illinois doesn't have the some of the talent, but I do think they have some pretty good coaching that sometimes can make up for that. But the problem is if you don't play your best game against these teams, you need to time up your best game with against these top teams, and Illinois hasn't been able to do that yet this season. So we'll see. There's plenty of time left. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this, please go to IlliniGuys.com. You can join us there for 27 cents a day, $99 a year. Gets you behind the paywall. You get every article, you get everything. The other thing that happens is you get on the message boards and you can sit there and talk with Brad, Ked, Matt, Larry, or myself. And obviously, with thousands of other Illini fans across the country and across the planet as well. It's a fun forum for debating, and we talk everything sports related. You want to talk politics, go somewhere else. We just do sports. And so take a look at that. You can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you like us and you go ahead and subscribe so that you can follow it. If you're listening on audio, please go ahead and share this with your friends and subscribe there as well. And a 5-star review would really help us as to get differentiation from some of the other podcasts out there. We really appreciate it, folks. We will be back probably later on this week and touch base. And of course, for sure, next Monday, we will be out with the preview of the Washington Huskies. Should be a fantastic game with a heck of a lot of meaning in a couple Saturdays. So we're looking forward to that greatly. Until then, go Illini.